If you're a Raider fan and you want the number one overall pick, type 1 down below. If you're a Raiders fan and you don't type 1 down below, you're probably best friends with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll. Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, Raiders-Giants preview, the 2026 number one overall pick Super Bowl. Today's show is presented by Panda Supps, and if you want to get hooked up on some of these unbelievable products, because new year, new me, it's right around the corner, make sure that you use code RaidersPanda for 25% off at pandasupps.com. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. I mean, I feel like this is the granddaddy of them all. This is the most excited that I have been for a Raiders football game all season long, and here's the thing. Giants fans are just as excited. You got the 2-13 New York Giants up against the 2-13 Las Vegas Raiders, and loser of this game might be the biggest winner of all, because entering this matchup, you got the Giants, who currently are sitting at number 1 in the NFL draft order, up against the Las Vegas Raiders, currently sitting at number 2 in the NFL draft order. And it's not going to take a lot of rocket science. It's not going to take a lot of math to be able to sit up here and tell y'all. But for both of these teams, getting not only that number 1 overall pick, maybe the Giants decide to go quarterback, maybe they don't, but both teams need a new head coach. And the way that you're going to be able to recruit and get the best head coach possible for both of those teams is having the number 1 overall pick. And as it stands right now that I'm making this video, the Raiders still have the highest chance to get number 1 overall at 34%, 93% overall to be in the top 5. You can see the Giants are right there, the Browns, the Jets. There is still technically opportunities for the Cardinals, I believe, to get the number 1 overall pick. And there's still, chances for some other teams if some of these other teams like the Giants, the Browns, the Jets win multiple games. But right now, as it stands, if you were to ask a buddy, an NFL fan, who's got the best chance for the number 1 pick, they're going to tell you the loser of Raiders-Giants in Week 17. And here's kind of how the Raiders season has gone this year. And when you look at how their percentages have gone up and gone down for the number 1 overall pick, you can see, again, I want number 1 pick. I'm typing number 1 down there in the comments section. But because of the Week 14 game, it's good. Week 15 against Philadelphia, that was a 31-0 butt kicking. But because the Raiders played much better against Houston, you can see that percentage dip a little bit, and I am really, really nervous about it. So the reason why this is the number 1 pick Super Bowl is because if the Raiders beat the Giants, their number 1 overall pick odds fall all the way to 4%. I have not dealt with the Pete Carroll Raiders in this 2025 season to not have the number 1 overall pick at this point. But if the Raiders lose to the Giants, your number 1 pick odds do jump to 62%. But I want to be very clear here, and I put out a video bright and early on Tuesday. I think I'm more nervous about the Chiefs game Week 18 because who the hell are we going to be going up against at the quarterback position? Ain't going to be Minshew, ain't going to be Mahomes. The Raiders need to lose these next 2 games to set themselves up in the best spot forward moving into the 2026 offseason. So you're damn right. I'm going to be fired up. I'm going to be rooting for the Giants. And you know what? My guy Marshall Green, Rebel, tell him to go home. He's going to be rooting for the Raiders to beat the Giants, just like we're going to be rooting for the Giants to beat the Raiders. And I know I ask a lot of y'all, and I know I'm always up here hooting and hollering, but I need y'all to show up and be ready to go to battle Week 17 because there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on us. From a Chat Sports perspective, from a Giants perspective, from a Raiders perspective, from an NFL perspective. We're going to be going live at 3 p.m. Eastern time, so 65 minutes before kickoff, and we're going to be battling Giants now. I always like to be able to prove that the best fans on the planet of the Raider Nation, and in the 8 years that I have done this show, we have only lost 3 Super Chat battles. 1 to the Steelers, 2 to Giants now. I'm not losing 3 times to Marshall Green, and I'm not losing 3 times the Giants now. So I'm asking, if you haven't paid attention to the Raiders all season long, show up Week 17, because this is the biggest game of the season. Quite frankly, and this is really sad to say, it's probably the biggest Raiders game since the Derek Carr timeout against the Chargers and since the Raiders lost to the Cincinnati Bengals in the playoffs. That's a sad statement. but damn it, it's probably a true statement. So coming up next here on the show, we're going to do our Raiders keys to losing. And I hate the fact that I even got to do this thing because I wish Week 17 could be the Raiders' keys to victory to help us make a playoff push. But the way that we're going to get playoff pushes in the future is by putting ourselves in the best situation possible. The best situation possible. Lose to the Giants. Lose to the Chiefs. #1 overall pick. That's what you should want if you're a Raiders fan. You should also want this awesome deal that we got here with Panda Supps. And I asked my guy from Panda, who is a diehard Raider fan, what types of deals you got for the nation. And he said, first off, during the holiday season, you're going to be making a lot of different food. And he's got some brand new seasonings. I'm talking about Hefe Special, roasted veggies, herb and butter medley, Texas Heat, Taco Tuesday. And if you got that sweet tooth, it's unbelievable. Put it on a little bit of bread. Cinnamon, honey, butter. Also, some pre-workout. I always am somebody like, hey, I'm going to eat a lot of food during the holidays. But then as soon as the New Year, New Me rolls around, I need that extra motivation to get my pre-workout going and to be able to get my workouts going. And if you're somebody that needs that extra boost, maybe you need some of the Panta pre-workout or my personal favorite, Pando. Pando really helps me elevate my game. It also comes in 4 amazing flavors: electric colada, berry lime reactor, sour robo belts, and peach gear rings. The peach gear rings literally taste like those peach rings that you got as a kid. They used to come in the packet. Delicious. And then the protein. 11 mouth-watering flavors to choose from. 30 grams of protein. The one that you see on screen right now, the s'mores, has really been the one that I've been crushing over the past just few weeks during the holiday season. I love a good s'mores, and I ate actually quite a bit of s'mores this past weekend, I'm not going to lie. Then the last thing that I want to talk about here is their burn. It's stim-free, which you can convert fat into fuel through increased thermogenesis while also enhancing performance. At the end of the day, I'm always trying to be the best version of me. I'm trying to be a little bit more healthy, which I think you guys have been able to see over the past few weeks. I haven't been drinking as much, and I'm trying to get into better shape. Panda's going to help you get into better shape. Use code RaidersPanda, 25% off at pandasupps.com. Also, if you spend over $99, you're going to get free shipping. If you spend $150, you're going to get free shipping, and you're going to get a free Panda Supps hat. Then, if you spend $199, not only are you going to get free shipping, they're also going to hook you up with some free pre-workout. Sounds like a hell of a deal. Let's go to now the Raiders' keys to losing against the Giants. And bear with me, y'all. Again, bear with me, and I hope that you have a good laugh. And I hope that if you're still watching the Raiders on December 24th on Christmas Eve, you can find ways to laugh because, damn it, you deserve it. So my first key to losing against the Giants, don't run the ball. In fact, if you want to put Ashton Jeanty on the sideline, I almost wish we could get Chip Kelly back and almost do that play, hold like design. I forget even which team it was against, but it was the first half where Geno threw the ball 28 times and Jeanty ran the ball 3. That's the type of game plan I want to see up against the New York Giants, because if there's one area that really scares me in this game, it's the Giants' inability to stop the run. Because as it stands right now, the G-men are 31st in the NFL, allowing 150.9 yards per game. They're allowing 5.5 yards per carry. That's dead last. And then against the running back position, and the running back position alone, 1,828 yards against. 31st in the NFL. Jeanty, all I'm saying is if you want to take a day off, I'm not going to be upset about it. Let's go to the next key to losing. I hope Geno Smith, I hope Greg Olsen, I hope the Raiders forget who 89 is. Hope they forget about Brock Bowers. Don't even get him involved. In fact, just let him get an extra week off. He just made the Pro Bowl, which, again, I'm going to tip my cap to Brock Bowers and Max Crosby for making the Pro Bowl, but he's one of the best tight ends in the NFL. The Giants have actually done a halfway decent job against tight ends this season, but the reason why I want the Raiders to forget about Brock Bowers is because if Bowers gets going, it's only going to open up that ground game a little bit more for Jeanty, and we just can't afford that. Let's go to the next thing here. You got to lose the turnover battle. I want Geno Smith to throw it 60 times in this game, and I hope Geno Smith throws 3 interceptions. I hope he throws a few pick sixes in there. But for the Raiders and the Giants, the way that I look at this game, I really do believe it's going to come down to who wins the turnover battle. And I feel like I say that a lot, and I say that a lot because if the Raiders win the turnover battle, they have a chance. If the Raiders lose the turnover battle in 2025, I don't think they have a chance in hell. But both teams entering this game, -5 turnover differential. So when you're at the exact same and when you're both equally bad, if the Raiders have to play from behind, they're going to have to throw the ball more. That's better for us. If we get out to an early lead, I'm really, really worried what that could mean for our running game, and I'm really worried what it could mean for the win and loss column. Let's go to the next key to losing here. Rest up Kolton Miller. This is I'm actually serious on this one. Kolton Miller, I know he's been healthy. I know Pete Carroll wants him to go out there and play, but rest up Kolton Miller for next season. I don't want the risk of putting him out there. And if there's one thing that the Giants do have some ability at, it is getting after the quarterback. But if you were to put Kolton Miller there at left tackle and you take Stone Forsythe out of the game, I don't think people realize how much that's going to impact our offensive line, because last week, Dylan Parham was a monster. And Parham had arguably one of the best games he's had of this season for the Raiders, and he was a big reason why Ashton Jeanty did end up rushing for some yards. I should also note on that depth chart, Jordan Meredith did just get converted to IR. He's done for the season, and the Raiders ended up promoting Antonio Mafi, so he's going to be in replacement for Meredith in case anybody saw that on the depth chart. Let's go to the final key to losing here. I don't know what the Raiders have, or they have just an unbelievable infinity recently on social media for Devin White. And congratulations to Devin White for breaking the Raiders' single-season record for most tackles in a season. He's got 160 as it stands right now, and that's great and all. But he's also given up probably the most receptions. He's one of the worst coverage linebackers in the NFL. So if I'm the Raiders, I'm putting Devin White. Put him on Wan'Dale Robinson. Again, I know I'm being sarcastic here, but I'm also kind of not, because if I'm the New York Giants and if I'm Jackson Dart, I'm trying to figure out every way possible how, if it's a third and what situation. Robinson's been the go-to guy since Malik Neighbors been injured this season, but 81 grabs, 900 yards. If you need to move the chains, Giants, find a way to get Wan'Dale, find a way to get Theo Johnson, find a way to get anybody on Devin White, because he's the worst coverage linebacker in the NFL. He's the Raiders' green dot, and he never leaves the field. So how am I going to do it? Put Devin White on Wan'Dale Robinson. I think he'd have a lot of success with that. So again, this game, which is kind of crazy, has flipped recently, because before the Raiders ended up playing the Houston Texans, or I believe actually it was right when the Giants game ended. This is what it is. When the Giants game ended, the odds already came out, and the Giants were 3.5-point favorites against the Raiders. Then, I think everybody saw the Raiders play the Texans pretty well, and it flipped. Now the Raiders are 1.5-point favorites. The over-under in this game is 41.5. So if you want to give me your score prediction down below, I really, really highly encourage you to do it. In my mind, I want the Raiders to lose this game. So if the Raiders are going to lose this game, give me the New York Giants win in 27-17 against the Silver and Black.